All right, fellas. So I think this time around, I'm gonna talk about life after college. A little bit first about the game plan you guys are seeing in the background. It's basically the second half of the video from last time. Basically, just I was just playing a campaign co-op. Oh my god, this guy just got sniped right next to me. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. That really scared me. I haven't played a campaign in a while, so just watching somebody just get their brains blown out, like right next to me, is a whole different it's a whole different experience, right? But anyways, yeah, it was just playing co-op, not really taking the game as seriously as it was intended. Just us screwing around, just passing the time. But anyways, on to the topic at hand. I do want to talk about life after college. For those of you who don't know, I do have my master's degree in statistics, and so I do have like what? How long did it take me? Probably like 6 years. Which sounds about right. Like 4 years for undergrad and 2 years for a master's. And yeah, so I've been a student for a good part of my life. I did take some extra courses outside university just to keep learning. So I have been a student for most of my life, and of course I do work in corporate already, and I do have a job or whatever. I just thought to also start talking about, hey, like how is life after college? And don't get me wrong, it's been a bit difficult. Trying to what's the right path. There's no like because in school like you're given a syllabus, you're given like a certain tasks to do. Like you already know what to do. Get good grades, do well on exams, do well in classes, etc. Get your piece of paper, get your degree, learn as much as you can academically, socially, and even personally, and then get out. That's pretty much the gist of college, at least for me. So the first topic I want to talk about is identity shift, right? So after graduation, you basically are no longer a student, and it takes a while for you to get out of that, I guess, status, if you will. It feels a bit weird. It did take me a while for me to get out of like, okay, I'm a CS major, I'm a statistics major. It takes a while for you to be blended into that because you're just taking classes, and then you start to grow from it, and then the last step is growing out of it, right? So you used to be part of your major, used to be taking classes for it, and then perhaps being involved in campus organizations, and then you used to also follow a syllabus, chase a high GPA to justify, I don't know, scholarships or just for bracket rights or whatever. And then after graduation, you just like, so what now, right? It's a whole different level of like identity crisis. So I'm no longer a student. I already surpassed that stage in my life. I've already made it. I already got my piece of paper. What's next? Is the is definitely the question that I started asking myself as soon as I graduated, and as soon as I got a job, as soon as I just fully transitioned on from student to to adulthood, right? And fortunately for me, onto the second topic. Fortunately for me, I was able to get my job during my master's program. So I was a year into my master's program when I got hired at a corporate level, and of course juggling a corporate job. Trying to understand the ins and outs, the soft skills aspects of it, trying to get a feel for pretty much everybody at the office and how I blend into that that mix, right? And of course, trying to finish my responsibilities at school with my last final classes to finish off my master's degree. And then you start to when you're looking for a job, you start to compare yourself to other people naturally because you want to understand if you're enough for the role that you're looking into, for a specific role that you have in front of you, and you want to understand if, hey, like, me not being hired is a reflection of myself or is it a reflection of how the job market is, and if you're starting off, it'll probably be most likely yourself if you haven't prepared yourself for like the interviews, if you haven't cleaned up your resume. So I think in the beginning it starts to be more okay. Time for me to step up, right? But then as things are going right now, even for myself, like it's a bit harder to get heard back from these recruiters, and I know my resume is solid. So there's that shift right between is it me, or is it just the job market being dumb, right? Just as dumb as me throwing a priming a mortar and doing it right in front of it. It's just like right now. I don't know, playing with the mortars and what I wore is just freaking hilarious. I do wish they bring it back. But anyways, oh good lord, this is so funny. But yeah, so your first job will teach you a lot. It'll show you how you work, what you value, what you don't want in a job, and of course what others also think about you in terms of work ethic, what's the dynamic between yourself and others, and how you thrive in that environment, right? And and if you haven't landed your first job after college, that seems to be normal. And I think if you haven't gotten a job lined up after college, you're still average if you want to think of it like that. It's expected to not have it lined up. When I graduated with my 4 year degree, I wasn't able to find my first job until 7 months after I had graduated, and I was already well within the master's program. Already locked in, fully dedicated to that kind of learning. Fortunately enough, I got hired at a corporate level 3 4 months later, and so that's for me to picture our timeline for you guys to understand my personal experience. But yeah, at this level, if you haven't found a job, brush up on your interview skills, make sure you iron out your soft skills, and be ready for the interviews and get that job, right? So the other topics that I want to transition into is like the financial reality really does hit, right? So you have like student loans, you have rent if you don't live with family, and even if you do, rent would probably still be there, but not as expensive as it could be. Also, food, entertainment, going out with friends, and definitely how expensive things could be, right? School covers health insurance costs, and since you're not in school anymore, your job would also provide that employer um, health insurance. But of course, it comes at a price. Taxes do come into play. When you shouldn't be necessarily spending a lot on taxes, you should be getting some because you're a student, not because you're out there working or because you don't have school to back you up. You do have to pay for a certain level of tax. And all of this to say is, be mindful of your money. I do talk about finance on this channel, so if you wanna look into the other things about credit cards, other things about how to handle other things about handling your money, you can definitely give that a shot. But the third topic is definitely about your financial obligations to yourself, and not letting that basically screw you over, right? So the fourth topic would definitely be, I think I think your social life. It also depends how well connected. It also depends how well liked you are, and how much you let school or how much you let work take over your life. Right? College. It's a lot faster and much easier to make friends in college because you're always surrounded by people. Like you're always surrounded by your classmates. You work in group projects, so you start to build that connection and pretty much that initial collaboration, right? And when you get older, it's a lot harder to talk to people. Remember, like not every when you were in school, you're surrounded by other students. When you're outside of school, you're surrounded by everybody. You don't know if they're a student. You don't know if there's something wrong with them. You don't know if you don't know who this person is, right? And how open they are to speaking with a stranger. So the social life starts to get hit. You may also feel like you're just so busy where you just don't have the time to hang out with some people, so that quality of connection just isn't there as strong anymore as it used to be. And yes, um, Some people wouldn't want to reach out first because of X, Y's, and Z's. Some people would rather be home alone, which is perfectly fine as long as you find that balance between staying home and going out there and touching grass. And the hardest thing you should come to understand is, hey, like, relationships, friendships, fade, and some people are only meant to be there for a certain part of your life, and it's perfectly fine for them to leave, or even when you leave, someone else's life as well. It's just something that naturally happens. So the other topic is definitely like, what is success in terms of how we interpret success being, right? So when we're in college, success is more about getting that high grade, um, being able to keep up with your academics, and everything else that comes apart that comes outside of academics is definitely a plus. Say you have a steady income because you're working part time, that's definitely a plus. Say if you have time to go to a party, or you have time to go out or vacation, this is definitely a plus, because your main goal is to just get your piece of paper, get the grades, get the scholarship, and dip, right? And of course, the ultimate goal is you gain a job, right? That's the point of college, in my opinion. But now you have that job, right? Assuming that you have now you have this job. Now you're just like, wait, hold on. So what's next? Sure, you could build your career. You could use that money, the extra money you have now, to justify traveling. But then you start to understand, like, what is truly next. You could buy a house. You could buy a car. You can definitely do some things that you weren't able to do when you were basically tied up at school. Now you're just like, I have all this time in the world. Why am I supposed to do with it? Right. So it starts to become a topic of what's next, time management, repurposing your life for something that you want to focus into, and exploring. And because you have so many options, you start to get confused. Like, hey, like, what am I supposed to be doing since I have all this time, right? And the issue could be, I have all of this time, all this effort. I'm placing it into a certain thing. What if it's not the right thing for me to look into? And then you start to feel like you lost all this time, which shouldn't be. We shouldn't have this type of perspective. If we're losing time, it's more like you got to explore something. You got to see for yourself if you liked it or not. Now you could do something else, as opposed to regretting never having gotten time to dedicate and practice whatever it is that you want to look into, right? And the last topic I want to talk about is, I guess, the ideal path. Like, it's hard to have it all figured out, especially if you just fresh out of college. 22, 23 is definitely the age range that one is after a bachelor's. I was 24 when I graduated, when my master's, and I went to a vacation in a different country for my 25th, and that was a good time horizon for me to plan, because it was immediate, it was justifiable. But it starts to be like, hey man, what now? Do I go back and change careers? Do I take another break? Do I go back to school? And it's the thing I've noticed is that nothing is straightforward. Nothing is a straight line. There's always different ways. There's multiple ways to achieve the same desired outcome. It's just exploring these avenues, dealing with the routine, dealing with the um, the unwanted opportunities that you kind of have to take in order to progress something. It's all like that. And once I figure it out, I would be glad to share with you guys. But as of right now, I'm still looking into things, and I'm hopeful that one day I can look back on what I'm doing and say that was worth it, even though it wasn't part of the plan. But anyways, fellas, that was basically my little chant, my little rant on, or my little speech on what's life after college, what was my path, what was my um, well, basically my take on what it is after college, and just to sum the ideas is basically the identity shift between okay, I was a student, now who I am now. Of course, is the topic of getting a job or struggling to find that first job for yourself. A third one is basically like you have a physical responsibility for yourself, and the last one, or the last three is certain friendships starts to fade, and making new ones is kind of hard. The second to last one is what is success for yourself, right? When everybody's mutual success was just getting a piece of paper and getting a job. Once you have been successful in that space, what's the new type of success for you, right? Of course, this is super personal. And the last one is definitely there's no perfect path. The pathway to get to where you want to be is definitely not linear. It's definitely very zigzaggy, and it's very painful, eye opening. But we're here for a long time. At least for me, I am, and I want to see where it all takes me. Alright then, fellas. I hope you like the movie, or not the movie. I hope you like the gameplay, and I hope you like the conversation that I opened with you guys today. Alright then, fellas. Later.
Crawling through the mud and the dirt, our bullets whistle all
Everything's
around.
sped up for a sec.
This is the enemy's last stand. When we take Shuri Castle, we go home, all of us.